Hello and welcome to Audio Johnapedia number 48. It is February 1st, 2016. Actually, the first one of these that we've done for a while, but Super Bowl 50 is on Sunday, February 7th. And for the second time, actually first time in 2 years, but second time overall, I have a very special guest. Actually, the guest on the most recent episode of this show. Jason is on the line with me. And we're going to discuss some Super Bowl betting that will be going on in what some have called the Super Bowl of betting, I guess. How's it going, Jason?
Hey, I'm doing real well, John. Always a pleasure to be on here with you as your most frequent guest, I believe. So
I think you have to be number one at this point. We actually haven't done an episode since Labor Day weekend, which it's been a while, but when a good topic comes across, we must go forth and talk about things in the most ridiculous ways that we possibly can.
And it kind of seems to be our theme, so I'm cool with it if you are.
Absolutely. And for anybody who didn't listen to this or maybe doesn't have as clear of a sense of our own sensibilities, obviously the Super Bowl is coming up. The big bet will be, betting on who you think is going to win, the point spread, things like that. But we're going to focus less on the actual game and more on sort of the silly minutia. Like, you can bet on anything. Like, you can bet on the coin toss is a famous one. We're actually not going to have a very in-depth conversation on the coin toss. Do you have a strong preference on that, though?
If you bet with the odds, it's like, 51% heads half the, not half the time, but it's technically a little bit more if you flip a coin, but
I think the official odds, if I'm remembering correctly, let me pull it up. It's basically the odds work out at minus 105 for both heads and tails. So if you bet 20, or if you bet 21, you get 20 back, I think is what it is. So basically you're, on what is literally a coin toss, you're getting about 45%. No, that's not right. Well, whatever it is, don't do it. Like, pretty much with all of these bets, I think I can speak for both of us when I say don't actually make these bets. They're all terrible. There's a reason Las Vegas has as much money as they do. Like, they're not gonna give you favorable odds on a coin toss.
yeah, betting on stuff like this is silly. If you're gonna bet on it, hold on one second, actually. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I think one thing I'll say is my own little soliloquy while you get readjusted is that it's a little bit like playing the lottery in the sense that, like, you're never going to be able to do the math and get it figured so that it's going to be the smart move to bet money on a sporting event or on the lottery. But if you're having fun with it, then you're getting entertainment value out of that. But there's just some chance you get your money back. So you can take it for that. So, but if you're doing it as a means of trying to make money and just as a financial gain, don't do it that way. That's not going to work out for you in the long term. You back and adjusted? All right, sounds like Jason's still having some technical difficulties. So just for anybody, obviously, who's not been paying attention to the Super Bowl, what's going on? It's the 15-1 Carolina Panthers against the 13-3 Denver Broncos. From everything I've seen, Carolina's a little bit of a favorite to win, but as is generally the case, Super Bowl doesn't have any really wild swings. Not as though one team's usually like a 3-touchdown favorite or anything like that.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. I think I did a pretty admirable job killing time in the meantime.
I do. This is the beauty of live things. I'm on assignment for work right now, and I came to ask about something. So
yeah. One of my favorite things actually about this show is the fact that we do every episode live so that, like, there's no need for me to go back and edit because I can't, because I don't know how to. So if there's any issue, any mistake, well, so be it. I have no obligation. I'm a lazy man.
Hey, man, I think it keeps your show fresh and keeps, the hundreds of thousands of listeners listening to you.
Yeah, the 10 people who listen to this, I hope, will be greatly entertained. Anyway, we've wasted enough time. Let's move on to the bets here. The first one that I have to go over is: will Peyton Manning announce his retirement in the post-game interview? Yes is 5-1 odds. No is 1-10 odds. Now, as I mentioned before, the correct bet is to not bet. But if you were to take one of these, would you take yes, which would be certainly an underdog at 5-1, or no on 1-10?
I mean, if I was going to bet this, I'd absolutely bet yes, because there's no point, in my opinion, of doing a 1-10 bet.
Yeah, it's hard from that logical perspective. I think it's hard for me to say. When they say post-game interview, I might need to get some sort of clarification here. If they're including like the post-game press conference, I might do it. But if it's like being interviewed on the sideline by like the sideline reporter, like I don't think he's going to tell Tracy Wolfson, "Yeah, I'm retiring," just right then and there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the odds are probably actually slim that he would even do it at a press conference.
Oh, I agree, but I think it makes it a little more favorable.
Seems like the kind of guy who would be like, "I'm going to take time to discuss it," even if the decision's already been made.
Yeah, and I think there's
wins, I think. But
yeah, I think the odds are approaching zero that he would announce his retirement in the post-game interview if his team doesn't win, first of all. Like, if his team wins, there's the chance of him doing sort of I want to do the John Elway, Ray Lewis thing, go out on top. But if he loses, it's not to say he won't retire, but I don't think he would make that announcement right there. I don't think he's going to do something that's going to overshadow another team's victory. I think he's a nicer guy than that.
Yeah, I think he's... Yeah, I think he's just, as you've heard, the pros bro kind of thing.
By the way, as a side note, as a side note, I just want to point out how happy I am that there's two teams in the Super Bowl that I generally have favorable opinions on. It's been so long. Like last year, Seahawks Patriots was just such a drag for me. I can't stand either team, but like either one of these teams is my favorite Super Bowl champion in the last like decade. Like, I'm just going to watch this game and just have fun the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be fun. And, of course, this is like the one year. Like, every year I'm like, the Panthers are going to be good. The Panthers are going to be good. And as soon as Kelvin Benjamin got hurt, I'm like,
it's over.
You know, it's over. He doesn't have any receivers. Cam Newton's not that good. Yeah.
And he is that good. like, it's reached a point where, like, I think Rodgers is the only guy you could even possibly argue is better than Cam Newton at this point. Like, he's just going completely out of his mind this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, I mean, you know, if you're telling me I still have to win one game, I'd take Tom Brady over him. I'd take Aaron Rodgers over him. I might even take Drew Brees to win one game. But dang, he's fun to watch, isn't he?
Oh, he is. And obviously there'll be a lot more Cam Newton coming up in further questions here. But the next question is another one about Peyton. Will Peyton Manning be seen crying at any point during the entire broadcast? 6-1 for yes, 1-12 for no. Now, you said before that there seemed to be no reason to bet on 1-10. 1-12 is even longer of a shot.
It's even longer a shot, but I don't know that I've ever seen Peyton Manning cry, period.
I don't think I have either.
I mean, he seems like the kind of guy, he's like, he has the same expression on his face when he wins the AFC Championship game and when he gets beat by 50. I mean,
if this were any other player in this game, perhaps any other player in the NFL, there would be better odds of them crying. But Peyton is such a robotic presence that it is hard to imagine.
I don't see him pulling the DeMarco Farr, laying down.
Oh, he's definitely not going to go that far now.
I mean, he might give a fist bump or something. I don't know.
The reason that if I had to make a bet here, I would bet yes, though, not only because the odds are long, but it makes me think about like Tony La Russa during the 2011 World Series and the fact that this guy who is the most tightly wound guy for his entire career just totally loses his mind with complete glee because he knew it was ending. That's the only way I could possibly see it, as if it's just the culmination of an entire career makes him do things he wouldn't normally do.
Right, and that would just be, but that ties into the first question of, I mean, who knows? We all expect him to retire. I personally believe he could retire because, he's jeopardizing his life with his neck and all this other stuff. I mean, dude's got a wife and kids. But at the same point, I think in his mind, he's probably expecting to play next year right now. So
yeah. It's less that I think he's, wanting to retire and more that I don't think he would want to go to a new team. And I don't think Denver, I think they want to move forward with Osweiler after this year, which I'm not even as sold on Osweiler as a lot of people were. People were giving him a lot of credit because they were winning games, but they were winning games because of the defense, same as with Peyton. So,
Well, I mean, Osweiler was yanked for Peyton late in the year against San Diego. There's a reason they decided to go with Peyton Manning for the playoffs. I mean,
yeah, it's weird seeing Peyton Manning in this mold because, like, Peyton Manning is the weak link in this game. Like Carolina, it still blows my mind, but they have the number one offense in the NFL as well as a really good defense. Denver has the number one defense in the NFL. It's basically Peyton Manning doing sort of, like, I hate to use the cliche sort of the Trent Dilfer role, but like you could argue quite easily that Peyton Manning's the worst quarterback in the Super Bowl since like 2006 Rex Grossman. Like, it sounds just crazy because Peyton Manning, even 2 years ago, was maybe the best quarterback we'd ever seen. And now he's just kind of just hope he doesn't make a mistake.
Right, yeah. I mean, he's turned into, he's gone from game changer to game manager.
Yeah.
I mean, for the first, the second half of the season, for the first time in Peyton Manning's career, we're seeing Kubiak run the offense, the head coach run the offense, not Peyton Manning run the offense. And it's something we've never seen. He's always out there just getting to the line, calling audibles, and doing plays on the fly, and you're just not seeing that as much anymore.
Yeah, it would be funny after all of these years of Peyton Manning being this dynamic, record-setting quarterback that he would win a Super Bowl. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl already, obviously, but if he would win a second Super Bowl really on his last legs after all of this time. But, we'll see, obviously, what happens on Sunday. The next question, though, is about the other quarterback, not directly, but indirectly. Question is, how many times will dab or dabbing be said by the announcers during the broadcast? Over 2 is even money at 1-1, and under 2 is minus 140 at 5-7. So not really a huge disparity here. I would say in this situation, you want to go with whichever one you just think is more likely, over 2 or under 2.
I would take over 2 in a heartbeat.
I would as well.
I mean, we're talking, it says from kickoff to final whistle. I could see them saying things with shots from pregame of the guys doing it, going to commercial breaks. And
like, if it were any broadcast team other than Jim Nantz and Phil Simms, I would say over 20. Over 2, though, with these guys, maybe a little bit lower, but I think over is the correct bet. And honestly, I'm so sick of hearing about dabbing. I'm so sick of it, but it'll have its last big run, and then I'm sure people will get bored of it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's
not that I'm opposed to the dabbing. I just don't care about it. Like, it just doesn't do it for me.
I mean, it's, truthfully, I mean, if I wasn't 9 years old when the Rams won the Super Bowl, I wouldn't give a rat's behind about the bob and weave.
Oh yeah, it's just a silly thing, and it's the same kind of thing where, like, it's kind of stupid if you think about it. It's kind of silly, but I'm fine with it. If they want to do it, it's okay. It's just not, I guess I'm not the market for it.
Yeah.
That's fine now. Okay. Next bet is a little more on the prop betting side, and later on we're going to get way more off the deep end than this. But if Steph Curry is shown on TV during the broadcast, what will he be wearing? Now, on this question, I'm assuming that if he isn't on the broadcast at all, they're just going to sort of make it null and void. But personalized Carolina Steph Curry jersey is 1-1. No jersey is 2-1. Cam Newton jersey is 3-1. Any other Carolina jersey is 5-1. Now, obviously, this is Steph Curry has connections to North Carolina. They're just assuming he'd be, rooting for the Panthers, which I'm sure he would be. But where would you bet on this one?
If I was going to throw money, I thought long and hard about this one.
May I ask why?
Well, when I say long and hard, I mean I thought more than 5 seconds about it.
Okay, yeah. I was about 5 myself.
I mean, I tried to, the way I always do, I try to justify, obviously the personalized Steph Curry jersey, if that had been provided by Carolina to him as a gift, then he would probably wear it.
Yeah.
However, given the odds, I would probably bet the Cam Newton jersey at 3-1. I think, number one.
Obviously, he's the jersey to get if you're a Carolina fan.
Right. I mean, and I tried to think if he was wearing any other Carolina jersey, what Steph Curry doesn't have a current one, so he's wearing his number 17, Jake Delhomme. I mean, that would be pretty cool,
I mean,
actually, because
maybe if he had a Kuechly jersey, I don't know, but Cam's the obvious one.
I mean, so I'd probably bet the Cam Newton jersey at 3-1.
Yeah. I would, if I had to make a bet, I would bet the no jersey at 2-1 because that could really include a lot of things. It could include he's wearing a Carolina Panthers t-shirt. It could include he's wearing a Carolina not even any sort of team garb at all. Like, I don't think I've ever seen Steph Curry wear a football jersey, so, which isn't to say that he doesn't. Obviously, I haven't seen him in a lot of football games, but that would be the route I would go. The personalized Steph Curry at 1-1 seems like a sucker bet, unless there's something I don't know about.
Yeah. And I heard, I didn't get to hear the actual interview this morning, but I know Mike and Mike had him on this morning, and they talked about maybe asking him that so they could get the inside track on a prop bet. But
I may not want to influence the odds too much. Okay, this one here is my favorite of the prop bets.
It's
very wrong about a challenge. Yes is plus 100, 11 to 10. No is minus 150, 2 to 3. So no is the betting line favorite. Note, he must be consulted on live broadcast and must clearly take a stance on his position. If not consulted, wagers will be no action. I think there's very little chance that he's not consulted at all based on what CBS has done at this point. But how are you betting this one?
I don't know. I'm really torn because he must clearly take a stance on his position. He's come under scrutiny for missing some. So I could very easily see him not taking a stance. So I can see there being no action. However, if he does clearly take a stance, my heart just wants to say yes. Absolutely yes.
Well, it's not no action if he is consulted and is wishy-washy about it. The no action is just if they don't talk to him at all, if I'm understanding this correctly.
Here it says he must be consulted on live broadcast and must clearly take a stance on his position.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. Now that I look at that again.
Would be just pray for no action. But, I mean, I just say for the heck of it, yes, he's going to miss one because some of the ones he's missed have been absolutely hilarious, and he's been so adamant about it. Yeah. It's become a thing to profit about it.
Well, the thing about the challenges is it's not exactly a fair sample because you're looking at plays that are being disagreed upon. They're not being challenged or being reviewed if they aren't close. In which case, I'm saying yes. Yes is, I think, easily the pick because he's taken some pretty clear stances on some pretty bizarre opinions to this point. And frankly, it's a lot more fun to bet yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
what fun is it to watch and just hope that Mike Carey's right? And no offense to Mike Carey, the guy was a terrific ref whenever he was an official. Always it was always a little annoying having him explaining in as much detail as he did, but that's so much better than the alternative of a ref just being completely wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So this next question is near and dear to my heart, and I would say to your heart as well. How many times will the Golden Gate Bridge be shown during the broadcast? Over 0.5 at minus 300, under 0.5 at plus 200. So the betting line favor is that the Golden Gate Bridge will be shown during the broadcast. And this is from kickoff to final whistle. So halftime doesn't count, pregame doesn't count.
Okay, well, very simply, hashtag Bridge Twitter. I'm taking the over. Absolutely got to take the over.
Yeah, my heart says over, but this game's in Santa Clara. This game's...
Yeah, go in Santa Clara. They're going to take you to Santa Clara University and, oh, look at this pretty building on their campus.
I don't think they're going to show a lot of the city. I don't think that's going to be their mark. I mean, it's during the Super Bowls. There's plenty of stuff in the stadium to show. I could see if the odds were all the same betting the over, but the under odds are just better. I would take the under. I hope they show the Golden Gate Bridge for obvious reasons. Remind people that while there's this great football one, there's a lot of bridges out there as well.
It's true. And but if you're going to show something about San Francisco, I could see them doing like a quick 2-second bit about the 49ers and talking about San Francisco and showing it. talking about the new stadium and then talking about Candlestick Park. So I don't know.
That's what they could have a bet on if they're going to show Dwight Clark's catch or something like that as well, or show the touchdown to John Taylor to beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl, something like that. There's a lot of nostalgia angles. Or just show Huey Lewis. I don't know.
Well, that would be news.
Oh, my God. Why did I invite you on here? What was I thinking?
I'm really not sure what you were thinking.
Yeah. Trying to come up with some good hip to be square angle there, but I'm drawing a blank. All right, so the next bet. Will the announcers mention that Kubiak was Elway's backup during the broadcast? This is a very specific bet, and that's why I enjoy it being actually bet on. Yes is plus 120 at 6 to 5. No is minus 160 at 5 to 8. I'm going to go ahead and just say I can't remember a broadcast this season with Denver where they did not mention it.
Right.
So I'm saying yes.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, because when they're showing it could be real early when they're showing the personnel. Here's head coach Gary Kubiak, here's president, whatever Elway is. And of course, as we know, Kubiak backed up John Elway.
Yeah. The way I see it, they're showing like a late afternoon game in Week 15. Most of the people who are watching that have seen a Denver Broncos game to this point and have heard the factoid about Kubiak being Elway's backup. There's going to be millions and millions of people watching who haven't watched a football game all season. So it just, more than anything, creates more incentive to give the story. And granted, if you're not watching a lot of football games, you probably don't care that much about if Kubiak is Elway's backup. But there's a lot of things that are mentioned you probably don't care about, but they're going to be mentioned anyway.
So you're just waiting for the commercials at that point.
All right. What color will the liquid be that is poured on the winning coach? Orange is 5 to 4, blue is 3 to 1, clear is 4 to 1, as is yellow, red is 6 to 1, and then both green and purple are 10 to 1. I'm always wrong and always apply the wrong logic to this one, so if you want to go ahead and start, by all means.
Well, you can throw all sorts of logic at it, but if I think to like all the big Gatorade dumps that I've seen, liquid dumps, I would say orange and yellow are by far the most common. And of those two, the odds of 4 to 1 on yellow, I'm taking yellow. It also happens to be my favorite flavor of sports drink. So I'm going yellow.
Yeah, that's not bad. And I mean, clear also makes sense just because it can be water rather than Gatorade. But I'm going with blue for the same stupid reason I always pick it, which is just team color coordination, which is never actually the case, but I'm going with it anyway. Carolina is the favorite in this game. If I had to make a pick to win, I'd pick Carolina, but they're also a secondary Denver color, so it's not totally off the hinges there.
Yeah, but Gatorade color is very light blue, which would match Panther blue, not necessarily a dark blue like you would see with the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends what kind, there's sort of the lighter blue Gatorade, then there's like the Powerade color, which is a darker blue. But, I mean, regardless, any shade is covered here, but this is always my least favorite bet, but it's such a popular one we had to discuss it. All right. Who will the Super Bowl MVP mention first? 2 to 1 odds for both God and team. Obviously, you bet one or the other, not 2 to 1 for either. City/fans for 6 to 1. Coach is 15 to 2. Family is 15 to 1. And does not mention anyone above 9 to 4. That last one seems like a risky play because are you just hoping that they just like scream and go crazy or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Is this going to be like? Well, I mean, does not mention anyone above. What if they mention the opposing team for playing great? Is that considered somebody different?
Maybe.
Like Cam Newton, you just want to, you got to tip your hats to the Broncos. They played a great game.
I feel like the does not mention anyone above almost implies they would have to be, they don't mention them at all. Like they don't mention any of the above, which those are some fairly.
Well, it does not mention them first. So,
For the record, if Cam Newton wins MVP and mentions family, as in mentions his dad, it's the greatest moment in Super Bowl history right there. That's
Absolutely.
it. Mention Cecil Newton, you're number one forever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really just boils down to who the Super Bowl MVP is. I don't know. I guess I don't really know much about the faith beliefs of a lot of these people.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Newton's almost certainly the favorite to be Super Bowl MVP, not only because his team's the favorite, but because he's by far the top player on the team.
Right.
I believe he thanked God after he won the national championship in college.
It is.
And it's always a safe bet, really, for anyone.
Yeah,
God's.
However, I think if Denver's defense has a great game and Aqib Talib wins, I don't see God being mentioned by Aqib Talib.
Aqib Talib will thank Satan.
He might think Mark Mangino.
Oh God! If he thinks Mark Mangino, then all of a sudden all of the fun of the Super Bowl up to that point just goes away forever. I guess it counts as coach. Coach.
It's our coach. You're right. But I don't know. I think if there's 2-1 odds, I mean, for God, that's a pretty safe bet at 2-1. I could also see Cam Newton thanking the fans.
I could as well. Yeah, City fans is the better quote unquote risky bet. I would still go with God if I had to bet one of them, but City fans would be a close second.
See, but if I had any faith at all that Peyton Manning would win it, I'd say team in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would agree, but I don't think Peyton Manning's going to win it.
I don't either. I think if it's going to be Denver, it's going to be somebody on the defense.
Or it could even be like C.J. Anderson or somebody else. I think defense would be the better bet of those, though.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking too much about the actual game. This is dangerous. Okay. On to the halftime show. Which song will Coldplay play first during the halftime show? Adventure of a Lifetime 2-1, Fix You 7-2, A Sky Full of Stars 9-2, Viva La Vida 5-1, Clocks 15-2, Speed of Sound 9-1, Head Full of Dreams 10-1, Paradise 10-1. I actually think this is a really easy one, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, you obviously see where the logic of the betting goes. Adventure of a Lifetime.
Well, recency would be the Adventure of a Lifetime pick.
I think 7-2 odds is ridiculously high for 50. I'm trying to go through that. I don't think that's a song that you open a show with, and necessarily to people. I mean, a lot of people who are just casual Coldplay fans may not even know that song. It's not like it got a lot of radio play compared to some of these other ones. However, I'm not going to sit here and go through every one. When I look at the things, I'm taking Clocks at 15-2. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, Clocks isn't a terrible pick. They would probably be, I think the most likely of these, regardless of odds, is Viva La Vida, just because it's their biggest hit.
I would agree, and it's got the intro that's perfect.
I'm surprised Yellow didn't get odds. Not that I would pick Yellow, but I'm surprised that he couldn't even crack 10-1. That's weird to me, but I guess they know. I mean, I'm not really a Coldplay fan. I don't know their stuff that well, but it seems like it would be. All logic suggests I should like Coldplay a lot more than I actually do, but sorry, I don't.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I could see Adventure of a Lifetime for the obvious reasons, but after that, I think you go with the Viva La Vida, Clocks, and maybe even Speed of Sound. I could see it a good intro song.
I could see Paradise too. I mean, Head Full of Dreams is a reach, I think, at 10-1, but Paradise at 10-1 is not bad.
Yeah, no, I'd consider it. I think it's. I don't get Fix You having the second best odds at all.
Yeah, that's weird. An Adventure of a Lifetime only makes sense because it just came out. If they were doing if they were saying, "Hey, Coldplay's will play the Super Bowl 3 years from now," there's no way you would give it 2-1 odds.
No, absolutely not. But that's something we've seen. When Bruno Mars played, he had his current hit as his opener. And,
Did he? I thought he opened with "Locked Out of Heaven," but I don't know.
Well, but that was fairly current.
Yeah, but it was also probably his biggest hit. So.
Yeah, it was before Uptown Funk. So.
Yeah. All right. Which region will have a higher Nielsen rating? Denver at -140, so 5-7 odds, or Charlotte is even odds? I'm going with Charlotte here because Charlotte's smaller. So it's easier to have a higher Nielsen rating if you're in a smaller market. Denver's more of a national team as well, and Carolina's fan base seems mostly to be in North and South Carolina.
You know, had it not been for one thing, I would agree with you, but I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
For my job, I got to go out to the Denver area. I was in Loveland, which is about 45 minutes an hour outside of Denver.
Yeah.
This was actually the week that the Chiefs just beat the pants off of Denver. In Denver. I was there. And, dude, I went out on the roads during game time. Nobody's out. Like, they are crazy about watching Broncos football in Denver. So even though it's a bigger market, I'm still going to take Denver because I've experienced firsthand how crazy that town gets about football, like a regular season game.
Yeah, I feel like the Nielsen ones are always interesting to bet, though, just because, like, I guess I just don't know the kind of people that don't watch the Super Bowl. Like, I know plenty of people that don't watch football generally, but for the Super Bowl, it's such a cultural event that it's amazing to me that somebody wouldn't watch.
Yeah,
I think the only people I know that don't watch the Super Bowl are people that go to bed during it.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I've never met a person really that's like, oh yeah, I didn't watch the Super Bowl.
And it seems like if I did know somebody that didn't watch the Super Bowl, they would be loud about it. Like that seems like the kind of thing that you're very, like it's like not owning a TV. Like it's the sort of thing you're going to bring up in conversation when you can.
I mean, tons of people. I mean, go to parties and, or at least in a household. So
may casually sort of watch it.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's still watching it, obviously. Okay, Super Bowl 50 odds to win MVP. You know, a little close to the game, but there's so many people with odds here. I'm just gonna recite them all really quickly. Cam Newton by far the favorite, 5-7 odds. Peyton Manning 11-4. Luke Kuechly 14-1. C.J. Anderson 20-1, as well as Ted Ginn 20-1 and Von Miller 20-1. 22-1 odds are Greg Olsen, Emmanuel Sanders, Jonathan Stewart, and Demaryius Thomas. 28-1 odds for Josh Norman. 33-1 odds for Aqib Talib and DeMarcus Ware. 66-1 odds for Corey Brown, Owen Daniels, Graham Gano, Ronnie Hillman, Brandon McManus, Darian Stewart, and Danny Trevathan. 75-1 odds for Chris Harris Jr., 100-1 odds for Devin Funchess, Brandon Marshall, Derek Wolfe, 150-1 odds for Kurt Coleman and Mike Tolbert, and 33-1 odds for the field. And the field actually won a couple of years ago, and May of last year. Who was the MVP last year? Was that, or was it Brady?
I believe Brady won it last year.
Okay. It was either him or Butler, and Butler certainly wouldn't have had high odds.
Right. I'm looking it up. Tom Brady was the MVP last year.
Okay. So I'm sure he was, if not the favorite, certainly high up there.
Yeah.
All right. So as I said before, I understand why Cam Newton's the favorite, but 5-7 is really not exciting odds.
It's not. Big shout out to Derek.
You feel really confident in them.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you two things.
I'm sorry, you're kind of breaking out there. Can you say it again?
I'll give you sort of two things. If I had to put money down on someone to win it, based on the current odds, I'd probably like something that's not like super risky, but not necessarily like a big thing. If you lose it, I'd probably do like a Luke Kuechly at 14-1.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Kuechly has a pick six in each of his 2 playoff games so far. Like he's had some big plays. It's not a crazy pick at all.
Not a crazy pick, and I'll tell you, if something happened like a long shot that I love is Chris Harris Jr. at 75-1.
Yeah, I was actually looking at that one, thinking that's not that I would have him incredible odds, but I would certainly have him ahead of like Darian Stewart. Like that.
I mean, or Brandon McManus has better odds than Chris Harris Jr. The kicker.
Both of the kickers are 66-1.
I mean,
part of me wonders if Brandon Marshall will get any odds at 100-1 because people are thinking about the Jets receiver and not the Broncos linebacker. I just wonder if he's going to get anything because of that.
Absolutely, he'll get action because of that. I I don't know. Mike Tolbert would be a fun one at 150 to 1 if he has like a Jerome Bettis game with like 4 carries for 2 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Oh, that's definitely the fun bet. That's certainly the most entertaining bet of the group.
But I think it's yeah, I mean, you could go a lot of ways, but I mean, the quarterbacks are the obvious picks. If you're not going to go them, I would go with like a Kuechly or maybe a I think the Denver wins going to be.
There's 2 names at 66 to 1 that both stick out to me, and they're both Broncos offensive players. But Owen Daniels, who had 2 touchdowns last week, and Ronnie Hillman. Like, Ronnie Hillman's had some pretty big games this year. Like, 66 to 1 odds for him is such a bargain. It's amazing that he's that low. And
who's going to bust if there's going to be a big game-breaking run, it's going to be Hillman. It's not going to be Anderson.
Yeah. Like, Anderson, if he wins MVP, it's going to be because he had, 70 or 80 yards and a couple touchdowns. But, Hillman has the possibility of actually being the big sort of star of it. And Carolina's been so good at defending the pass, and Denver's had such a problem establishing the pass that 66 to 1 odds is again, I'm not going to ever encourage anyone to actually bet, but I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you had, depending on what a minimum bet would be, but 66 to 1 odds, why not?
Yeah, I agree. Okay, first touchdown scorer. There's all sorts of odds here. 7 to 1, Cam Newton's the favorite. 15 to 2, Greg Olsen. 8 to 1, Jonathan Stewart. 9 to 1, C.J. Anderson, Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas. 10 to 1, Ted Ginn Jr. 14 to 1 for Corey Brown, Owen Daniels, Ronnie Hillman. 16 to 1, Mike Tolbert. 20 to 1 for Jericho Cotchery and Devin Funchess. 25 to 1 for Andre Caldwell and Jordan Norwood. 33 to 1, Ed Dixon. 50 to 1, Peyton Manning. 66 to 1, no touchdown scorer. And 11 to 2 for the field, which the field includes, I believe, all defensive players, which is interesting.
That is, especially given the 2 defenses that are on display. Would also include, I think, for the most part, special teams as well. I mean, if you look at it, I think Cam Newton rushing at 7 to 1, that's, I don't know. I don't necessarily like that play that much.
The thing is, the idea of Cam Newton being the favorite seems a little optimistic towards him, but 7 to 1 for the favorite also is not that out of line.
I feel like that's, I mean, I don't know. He seemed to have sort of a thing. Like, if I was going to bet, I like 20 to 1 odds for Cotchery or Funchess. Both bigger guys in the red zone who maybe become if Olsen's covered up in a short yardage situation or something like that.
Yeah, I think I would consider actually just going full all the way, even though you could end up looking pretty stupid in the end. But 66 to 1 odds for no touchdown scorer with 2 really good defenses. I mean, I'm not that I would predict it, but 66 to 1 odds aren't bad. And if I had to go with an individual player, I've had somebody in mind. Who would I go with? Tolbert would be an interesting pick too, just because, if he's going to get a carry, the odds of him getting a touchdown aren't that bad because that's when he's going to get the carry. He's going to be at the goal line.
Goal line guy, yeah.
All right, we have one more strictly football-related bet, and then we can just go into the cross-sport bets, which are the most fun. Okay, will Cam Newton break the Super Bowl record of most rushing yards by a quarterback? The current record is 64, set by Steve McNair in Super Bowl 34. Yes is 11 to 4. No is 2 to 9. So no is the betting line favorite.
How can you not go yes on these odds?
I would go no, and I know it's not the exciting bet because your return is so low, but I think at this point we're kind of losing our minds over Cam Newton, and he hasn't been a big rusher this year. He does the goal line runs, and he's a good runner in the sense that Ben Roethlisberger or Aaron Rodgers is a good runner, but he's not Michael Vick. He never has been, but definitely isn't now. He's been very pocket committed.
Yeah. I understand that, but the problem is I don't think he's necessary. I mean, it's obvious he hasn't faced a defense the caliber of this, and I think time that the receivers struggle to get open, it could very well be against this defense, these defensive backs. So I think he can get pass rush too. I think that's something that maybe gets overlooked a little bit is their pass rush, and I think with the pass rush and all those things, I think Newton may be on the run a little bit more than normal. 64 yards, that's a lot of rushing for a quarterback. Let's not.
Yeah. And Steve McNair in Super Bowl 34, and obviously we remember the Super Bowl very well as St. Louisans, is like he was their offense. And Cam Newton sort of is like he's the focal point of the offense, but it's not quite in that same way.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if they're in a late game situation. How when it comes to running the ball, will they depend on Cam Newton more, or will they continue to go with like a Jonathan Stewart?
I tend to think they'll go the safer route which would be Stewart. All right, so next we're into the cross. It says cross sports bet. This is a very strange bet. First of all, let me be very clear for anybody. Don't bet on a presidential election. For the love of God and democracy, don't bet on a presidential election. But all right, so Carolina, so it's basically bets where you have a Super Bowl winner and a presidential election winner. So you don't even get a payout until November, which seems insane to me. Okay, so Carolina and Trump win is 13-4. Carolina and Clinton is 7-4. Carolina and Sanders is 5-1. Denver and Trump is 7-1. Denver and Clinton is 9-2. Denver and Sanders is 10-1. I guess I'd go Denver Clinton. Like it's such a strange bet, but it's hard not to. But it's strange looking at it because, like for instance, Carolina Sanders is 5-1. Denver Sanders is 10-1. So are they suggesting that Carolina is twice as likely to win as Denver?
That would be
is that
the implication?
Yeah, I mean, like the way that the bets work, and it works for either team, would be saying Clinton's more likely than Trump, Trump's more likely than Sanders. I agree with that, but the football implications are very strange. I don't get why you would ever bet the Carolina into anybody. Like it just seems like unless you're really, really confident in Carolina.
Right. I think you'd have to be really confident. Yeah, I mean, I'd look at. I also find it funny that Trump is the only Republican candidate getting odds.
Yeah, it's weird that Rubio and Cruz couldn't get odds, but
yeah, I mean,
I would prefer that no candidate of any party got odds, because why would you bet on an election? But
I mean, that almost, I don't know. That's
I'm actually surprised that's legal. Like, I'm surprised that you're actually able to bet on an election. Like, it seems so immoral, but I mean, people who bet have some interesting approaches to a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I was going to put a bet on anything, I'd do Denver and Sanders. Take the long shot and go there. But yeah, don't bet on this one. If I ever meet anyone who bets on this, I will think less of you.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another. This is sort of a twofer here, but this is sort of which of these would you prefer to take? Would you prefer to take the double where Carolina wins the Super Bowl and Golden State wins the NBA title at 2-1? Or would you take Denver wins Super Bowl, Peyton Manning retires, San Antonio wins NBA championship, Tim Duncan retires at 20-1?
Denver, San Antonio, no doubt.
Really? Okay. So
no doubt in my. Obviously, you look at the odds, it's much more likely that Carolina and Golden State win. And, of course, the way San Antonio has looked somewhat recently, not, I mean, they got spanked by the Warriors and the Cavs, I think, both, right?
To be fair, a lot of people do.
Right.
To be fair, those teams are really good, but...
To be fair, Popovich doesn't give a rat's behind about the regular season.
Yeah, that's true.
But I just think, and granted, I think even at 2-1, it's there's so many factors, especially with Golden State. Yes, Super Bowl, you could call it a coin flip because you have one of two choices. Golden State going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be one of 16 teams in the playoffs. So having the odds of that with only a 2-1 payout, I'll take the Super Bowl win. Manning retires, and San Antonio with Tim Duncan retiring.
What's weird about this bet is the thing that I think is actually the least likely of any of these things to happen is Tim Duncan retiring. I just don't think it's gonna. I feel like he's gonna be one of those guys that just plays forever, and he's actually still pretty effective. Like, he's not a star by any means. Clearly, Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge, Tony Parker are the guys who are carrying the Spurs at this point, but really an effective defensive player still. And Golden State seems like the only thing that could stop them is LeBron. And I don't think LeBron's getting traded to San Antonio. So,
yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but the other thing what happens if, Steph Curry or Klay Thompson gets injured?
Well, they would still be really good, but I see what you're saying.
Are they good enough to be Curry? Are they good enough to beat the Spurs?
It does become a little trickier at that point. And yeah, it becomes trickier for sure. Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Not with.
I feel like I've just gone completely in the tank in the last, several months for Golden State. So I would go with the 2-1. But again, I'm stupid, and again, nobody should bet on any of this.
Yeah, I mean, don't bet on any of this stuff. But.
Yeah, part of the problem with the second scenario is so many things have to break an exact way.
That's true, and it doesn't say immediate retirement. So literally, the day before the next NBA season, you can get your payout.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the implication here. Like, if the implication is just retires eventually, I think Peyton Manning and Tim Duncan will both eventually retire from their sport. Might be 5 years from now, but they'll retire. I'm sure Vegas would love me. I would get such a lawyer sort of terminology on all of these things.
Right. Yeah. I think there's a lot of deal with it, but.
All right. Here's a cross sport prop. We have DeMarcus Cousins points and rebounds February 7th. DeMarcus Cousins, by the way, he plays for the Sacramento Kings. They play at the Boston Celtics that day versus Cam Newton rushing yards. I'm going to go Cam Newton rushing yards. And I was just talking before about how I don't think Cam Newton is going to be a big rusher. But if DeMarcus Cousins puts up, 30 and 10, which would be considered a pretty good NBA game, 40 rushing yards is certainly attainable.
Yeah, I'm just going to break the record. I don't see Cousins dropping a 50 and 20 to beat 65 rushing yards, so I go with Cam rushing yards.
Yeah, and Boston's actually fairly good this year. It's not they're 27 and 22. It's not like this is Boston a year or two ago where they were completely inept. So that'd be my go. Okay, so next bet is total goals in the Montreal versus Carolina NHL game on February 7th versus total receptions by Greg Olsen. I think they're going to go to Greg Olsen a lot in this game. I think he's going to get at least. I think he's going to get probably 10 receptions.
First of all, average NHL game, you're looking at 5 or 6 goals.
Yeah. And I don't know, are Montreal
and most scenarios in my mind, I him get.
The NHL better than I do, but at this point, it would still be Carey Price and Cam Ward going against, not incredible offenses, right? Am I misreading this?
No, you're not misreading it. I mean, I don't know what their schedule is like, and then I don't know. I mean, Price has been hurt.
Okay, that's true. But even so, like, who's Carolina's top goal scoring threat?
I mean,
it's not like they have somebody that's going to just pile up goals. They don't have Sidney Crosby out there, anything like that. I mean, I know he's not Ovechkin, I guess, for a goal scorer.
Yeah, I mean, you could make an argument like Pacioretty or something from Montreal could put up goals.
Yeah. I don't think he's putting up as many as great goals as he catches, though.
Some opportunities on. Yeah, like I said, I think that even in a high-scoring NHL game, Greg Olsen wins this. So.
Yeah, I think that's just the safer bet. All right, here's a cross-sport prop. We have what will be higher: Tiger Woods' first-round score at the 2016 Masters, or Emmanuel Sanders' receiving yards. This feels like picking on Tiger. It does, but
easiest.
All right, you cut out there.
We're picking on Tiger, but dang, it's also picking on Peyton Manning.
It is a little bit, but the thing is, even like Peyton Manning could still have a really good game and just throw to Demaryius Thomas a lot too. Like I would go with, and you cut out there for a second, and I apologize if I'm speaking over you right now, but I would go with Tiger Woods being higher in a heartbeat because Tiger Woods just could be completely done. He could shoot 80, and all of a sudden there's a lot more with Emmanuel Sanders.
I think, I think Tiger could very well be done and hit 80. Say Tiger shoots a 69, an okay round.
Nice.
Yeah,
sorry.
Nice.
Like,
I don't see.
You did not come up with that score randomly. You were waiting for that.
I said, and yeah, I didn't see Sanders getting more than even 30 or 40 or receiving. He's a big place.
Yeah, it almost I think the audio is starting to go a little bit on here, so I think we should probably kind of rush through. We only have one more left on the list, so we might as well get ahead to that. We have what will be higher. We have Arsenal total goals on February 7th. They're playing Bournemouth, which is not a particularly high-end Premier League team, versus Peyton Manning touchdown passes. I don't care what any logic says I'm going Peyton Manning touchdown passes on principle. I have to.
Kroenke can go. Well, Peyton Manning touchdown passes. I'm with you 100%. I cannot do anything good at anything.
Like it's so fun that in the last month or so, all of a sudden I have a soccer team that I just really, really hate. Like I was rooting against them normally, but now it's personal and it's like in a weird way, it's fun.
Yeah, I get you. I think that's completely normal.
Yeah, we are good, healthy, normal people. All right. So I feel like we had a little audio rebound there, but before it goes back south again, I would like to thank you for appearing.
No, it's not a problem. It's a gorgeous evening in Lincoln where they're expecting overnight and tomorrow to have 12 plus inches of snow. So.
Yeah, I think in St. Louis it might get down to 50. Let's see, high of 64 tomorrow. Sorry.
Mm.
It'll be storming though. It won't be an amazing 64, but I'm going to take it.
That's all right. I won't leave. Yeah, I'll leave the hotel tomorrow anyway because I work for the hotel.
Yeah, well, you'll get paid for it though. So enjoy your stay at the finest hotel that Lincoln has that you're being paid to stay at, and I'll have fun being in St. Louis and not having a lot of snow on me. And thank you to anybody who listened to this whole thing. And I hope everyone has a great night. Hope everyone enjoys the Super Bowl week.